I do buy this. This is Rishi Sunak talking to Andrew Marr during his, I think, first bid. Well, no, he only had one bid, didn't he, to become leader, when he got beaten by Liz Truss, who shortly afterwards got beaten by a lettuce. This is Rishi Sunak talking to Andrew Marr. It'd be about a year ago, would it? Give or take? Good God. It's so hard to measure time at the moment. What do you use as your measure of political time? Do you use a Dorries? 50-something days now since you promised to resign with immediate effect. Do you use a Truss? I think a Truss is 49 days, is it? Is it 49 days? I forget. But it's about a year ago that Rishi Sunak was trying to become Conservative Party leader and therefore Prime Minister, and was adamant, not only adamant about his commitment to climate, but delivering climate, deliver climate, but also bringing his children into it, which I quite like politicians doing that if they're telling the truth.
When you saw those images yesterday of those burning houses, did you think this is being caused by climate change?
So I've been very clear and open. I mean, I have two young girls who are 9 and 11, and they are rarely that bothered about my job for the past couple of years. But as I always say, the only time my life intersects with theirs, if something shows up in the week junior that I'm doing, then they're interested in it. But the thing they do ask me about is, what are you doing for the climate, Daddy? What are you doing for the environment?
So you really believe in it? Because it seems to me that in this contest so far, we haven't had, as it were, a clear, straight, honest leadership from any of you about the climate emergency that we face, the seriousness of it, and how much all of our lives are going to have to change as a result.
Yeah, so of course I believe in climate change. I believe in our target. As Prime Minister, I will continue to deliver on the agenda that we've set out. It's one of the things that we've displayed global leadership in, which is fantastic, actually.
So, he's going to upset his own children on that. He's upset Zach Goldsmith and Chris Skidmore, who are Conservative, relatively senior Conservatives. Chris Skidmore, a former energy minister, called the strategy the wrong decision at precisely the wrong time. Zach Goldsmith is obviously a big pudding, but he was quite strong on climate issues before he sold his soul to Boris Johnson in return for a peerage. He said after 13 years in power, a party needs a compelling story to win another term. Does the Prime Minister really think dropping our international environmental leadership and rolling back our domestic commitments is the winning story? So I mentioned them because this doesn't or shouldn't be party political. They're trying to cast Labour as Just Stop Oil. What are they trying to cast Labour as? It all comes from focus groups, right? It's important to understand this because focus groups, if I tell you that I don't know, what would you vote for? Would you vote for a unicorn? And I say yes. And you say, right, well, we're going to promise unicorns. That doesn't make unicorns exist. It's all gone a bit Brexity, hasn't it? Back at the ranch. But it doesn't make unicorns exist. So if I tell you I want to take back control, and I don't ask you what that means, I just like the sound of it. You can tell I've been writing the Dominic Cummings chapter of my new book at the moment, can't you? Take back control. Don't ask what it means. People just like the sound of it. Flood their Facebook pages with pictures of stressed nurses alongside headlines saying things like Turkey, Macedonia and Serbia are about to join the EU. And people will just, oh, no, I don't like the sound of that. I don't ask whether it's true or not. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Do you know they even had adverts? The Vote Leave lot, pumped into your Auntie Doris's Facebook, suggesting that we can't look after polar bears because we're in the Europe. You think I'm exaggerating, don't you? A big picture of a big fluffy polar bear saying we can't look after polar bears if we're in the EU. It's incredible. We can't, something about whale meat as well. Do you want whale meat in our supermarkets? No, then vote leave. You're gonna have to buy this book. You can pre-order it in all the usual places. It's called How They Broke Britain by James O'Brien. Even I'm stunned by some of the stuff that I'm stumbling across at the moment. But that's what a focus group does. So in a focus group, someone has asked the question, does it work? If we tie the Labour Party to Just Stop Oil, even if it's not true. I think there's one bloke who's given money to Just Stop Oil and he's given money to the Labour Party. I think he's on full disclosure next week, actually. And that apparently is proof that Keir Starmer is secretly, in disguise, regularly gluing himself to buses, even though he's at great pains and loses support from traditional sympathisers by condemning these protests, the Conservative Party trying to portray him as being the architect of them or a passionate supporter of them. So you've got this focus group. They said, does that work? They go, yeah. So yesterday, he said, what about if Rishi Sunak announces 100 new drilling licences? And don't ask whether it's going to save any money or not. Greg Hands, the chairman of the Conservative Party, told us last year that it wasn't going to raise any money. It doesn't bring down energy prices. That is a lie. That's not a difference of opinion or a different interpretation of the same data. It's a lie. It does not. There will not be enough of it, and it's not going to happen for 20 or 30 years. So that was the conversation we had yesterday about the nonsense of the policy, described, of course, today in terms by the General Secretary of the United Nations. But when you hear what he said about his own children, when he reached out to you as a dad, yeah? Not as a politician, but a dad. Yeah, I'm a dad, right? I'm a dad. I'm just like you. I talk to my kid. Yeah. Weak junior. Yeah, delivering. And he told you that he was committed to tackling environmental issues, tackling climate change. He told you that because his kids wanted him to.